Hi everyone, my name is Julie and I am an intern at Emma Schmidt & Associates, and today I'm going to talk to you about the female orgasm. And the reason I'm doing this is because we tend to get a lot of questions around the female orgasm. It tends to be a little bit more of a mystery, and so today we're going to talk about the mysterious female orgasm. So first things first, what is an orgasm for females? So what does it feel like? Oftentimes people will say, have I even orgasmed before? I'm not sure. And so sometimes the answer that we'll hear is, well, if you have to ask, then you've probably never experienced it. However, really what the orgasm is, it's a great buildup of tension and a great release of tension with muscle contractions in the vaginal area. And so this can look like a lot of different things, and it can feel a lot of different ways. So it could be this really great buildup of tension and this great release, or it could just be a nice little buildup and a nice little release. With that in mind, there's a lot of different types of orgasms, and sometimes people want to know what's the best or what's the most pleasing. We'll hear things like there are clitoral orgasms or blended orgasms or vaginal orgasms, which would be like your G-spot or A-spot, F-spot, all those different kinds of orgasms, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But people want to know, what's the best kind? What is the best way to achieve that? And what I would say is every woman is her own person. Every woman has her own unique orgasm. Every woman's body is different. The way that every woman achieves orgasm is different. And so someone's best orgasm may be completely different from the next woman's. And so whether it's clitoral, blended, vaginal, it all depends on the woman and what works best for her. And so there's this pressure of I need to have the best, or I need to know that that I'm achieving the best orgasm I can achieve. But rest assured that everybody has a different best for them, and so there's no pressure around that. It's really truly what feels best for you or what feels best for your partner. There's no right way to orgasm. However, research shows that about 95% of females will orgasm through clitoral stimulation. And so again, while most females will orgasm through some sort of clitoral stimulation, there are some who don't require that, but the vast majority do require some sort of clitoral stimulation in order to achieve orgasm. The next question is, how do I do it naturally so I know what an orgasm is? I know what it is supposed to feel like, this buildup of tension, this release, and I know there are different types and that mine might be unique to someone else's. So then how do I myself achieve orgasm? And so the first thing that I would tell you is know the anatomy of your body or of your partner's body. If we look at the female vagina, as society typically calls it, what we're really seeing is the vulva. And so the vulva is the exterior area that we're seeing, and so that includes the inner and outer labia, that includes the mons pubis, everything that we can see from the outside, the clitoris, all of that is centered in the vulval area, whereas the vagina itself is the canal, essentially, that either the penis goes in or babies come out, or your tampon goes in. That is the vagina. And so even being aware of that anatomy, but then exploring your body and creating a safe space to be able to do that. The best way to know the best type of orgasm for you is to experience it yourself and then help your partner to mimic that experience. And so I encourage you to get a hand mirror and look at the anatomy of your body and really start to explore that area, find and identify those different parts and just feel them out and see, when I touch this area, does it feel good? What do I like about it? Is there a specific motion that I enjoy? And again, since most females will orgasm through clitoral stimulation, identifying that and identifying the type of touch or sensation, the amount of pressure that you yourself enjoy. And so self-stimulation can be a very helpful means for understanding how to achieve an orgasm and the best way to go about doing that. Now there are other ways as well. Some women will utilize toys, so a vibrator to help figure out that stimulation. So get creative with yourself, get creative with your body. Make sure that whatever you're using is very clean, very sanitary. We don't want any sort of infections or anything down there. But truly just taking the time to explore your body and figuring out what feels best for me. And then bringing your partner into that as well, inviting your partner into that space to explore your body too. If it's a male partner, oftentimes they don't know what that anatomy is either. And so inviting them to, hey, this is my vulva and this is the part that you touch that feels really good. Touching this part doesn't feel so good. It's a fun way to explore together and to be able to really communicate what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy together as a collective. And so what if now I, as a female, like let's just say you come to me and, Julie, I explored my body, I tried to self-stimulate, and I just couldn't get there. Or, I could get there, but my partner can't get me there. Or we're having intercourse and I'm thinking of everything under the sun except for sex. I'm thinking about chores, I'm thinking about the kids, I'm thinking about things I need to get done this week. Or the opposite, all I can think about is how badly I want to orgasm and I'm not able to. Like I'm willing my body in every sense of the word, but yet I cannot. I'm still not able to. What then? What do I do? And so there are a lot of different things, depending on what experience you're having, that can really help with this situation. And so first things first is we find that if women are going about 45 minutes and are not able to orgasm, they can't quite get over the hump, you can feel the tension building up, but you can't quite spill into that space of orgasm. Then we encourage the use of a vibrator. That statistically helps women get past that initial phase of anorgasmia. And so by using a vibrator to help stimulate that area, that should be a great way to help move things into that space to help you achieve orgasm. And so if you find that that's helpful, excellent. And then having a conversation with your partner of what it may look like to incorporate toys. Or maybe that's what you needed for the very first time to experience an orgasm. But then after that, you're aware of what your body needs, and then you're able to achieve it on your own or with your partner without the vibrator. So just exploring, finding out what works best for you. But I do encourage that if you've never had one and you've tried on your own, to try utilizing a vibrator, and that should be helpful. But also, if you and your partner have tried and all that you're thinking is, I should be orgasming, but I just can't, then what I would encourage you to do is, well, of course, seek help from a professional, because typically there's something deeper going on internally, but just as some little basic steps, and this is true if you're thinking about everything under the sun except for orgasm as well, is working on creating mindfulness in your body. And so really creating this awareness of being in the present moment rather than focusing on all these thoughts that are running through your mind. And so you can do things like yoga, body scans, progressive muscle relaxation, different things like that to help you start becoming aware of what's really happening in my body. What is my internal experience? What's going on for me? And then when you start to notice those thoughts coming into your mind, whether it's I'm worried that about getting the laundry done, or oh, I should just be orgasming, just noticing that thought without judgment, but then allowing it to pass and bringing yourself back to the present. And so some things that you can do is just start paying attention to really what is happening in the moment. So maybe you start paying attention to smells that you're aware of. Maybe there's a nice odor. Maybe your partner's wearing perfume or cologne, and that's really nice for you to start attending to. Or pay attention to the feelings that you're feeling on your skin, in your body. Just starting to hone in on what's happening in the moment. Maybe you need to change positions for a little bit to get yourself out of your own headspace. But whatever you need to do to bring yourself back to the present moment and to continue connecting with your partner is going to be very helpful. Some good helpful first steps in getting you out of your own headspace and really being in the present and enjoying that connection with your partner. If you're working on that and you feel stuck, again, I encourage you to reach out to a coach, a therapist, even a friend, just having a conversation with a friend, sometimes just talking it out helps to get that, get those nerves out of the way, and just communicating, but first and foremost, communicating with your partner so that you guys can work on that together is going to be very helpful. And so I wanted to address something else related to orgasm, which is really there's this gender gap that we see societally. And so society tends to have this expectation that men achieve orgasm during sex every time. That should just be a very easy win, that sex is basically man gets an erection, sex occurs, ejaculation, and then it's over and it's done, and that's sex. That tends to be what the media portrays very often. But the question is, what about the woman? What about her experience, her desires, her needs? What about her orgasm too? And so I encourage you to really truly care for yourself and care for your partner by wanting to have this shared experience together. And so that means having a conversation. If you feel like you're missing a missing piece in this puzzle of the two of you connecting, and you find that only your partner is, and this is specifically for male-female partners, because of course with two females that expectation shouldn't really be there, because that's a different situation in terms of there's no erection, ejaculation situation. So this is specifically with this gender gap of males and females. And so having a conversation with your partner about that, and learning to communicate what would we really like this to look like in order for us to both enjoy this experience together. And so that could be things like just saying, what do I like? What don't I like? When would I like to be able to orgasm? Would I like to orgasm before we engage in intercourse? Would I like to engage in some intercourse, then orgasm, and then continue on, or at the end? So just having a conversation about what it would look like for you, what would be best for you as the female to also be able to enjoy this experience, to also be able to be a participant in this. And so again, that really means having a lot of communication around all of these components, right? And so what all of this comes down to when we're talking about the female orgasm, again, this very mysterious, very curious thing that a lot of people are trying to figure out, what it all comes down to, the very basics of, how does it happen? What do I do? The two biggest things that I would encourage you to do is to know and understand your body, making sure that you're very aware of, what do I need in order to achieve an orgasm? What is it that's most pleasing, most relaxing, most enjoyable for me, which means having an awareness of your body. And again, you can create that awareness by exploring your body with your partner, by incorporating, toys as needed if that feels helpful to you, creating a nice environment that would feel safe for you, all those things, just knowing yourself, what you need, but then knowing your body as well, being very familiar with it. The other major thing is being sure that you communicate. That is the biggest thing with partners when it comes to sex that I find that they're missing, is this communication component, that they don't know what each other really likes, what really turns them on or what doesn't turn them on. And I tend to find that individuals themselves don't really know what turns them on, what doesn't turn them on. And so doing the research, again, knowing yourself and then knowing your partner. So what are the things that I really like? What are the things that I would love to incorporate that would help me to relax and get into a place where I would feel comfortable? Communicating when you're feeling anxious. So if you're thinking, man, I'm so anxious right now about needing to orgasm, communicating that to your partner and allowing your partner, if you are the partner, to speak to your lady and to remind her that the goal of sex is not orgasm. It is to connect. It is to be intimate with one another. Enjoy this beautiful connection that you're both able to share and experience with one another. And by encouraging her to relax, by taking that pressure off that she has to orgasm, maybe you're just giving her a good time and you just want her to enjoy what's happening and you're just experimenting and playing around. That alleviates a lot of the pressure for her, which could eventually tip her into the orgasmic state. Or if not, hey, we tried and we'll come back and try again later. But also just realizing what fantasies could we incorporate together. So if you pay attention to your fantasies throughout the day, and thinking about, what are the sexual fantasies I have, and how can we incorporate that in our time together to make things a little more fun, a little more exciting. Finding ways to incorporate that together. Maybe that's sending each other sexy messages throughout the day and describing this fantasy that you have. And then when you get home, all this buildup and excitement is already there and you're ready to go. Because what I find very often, again, with this communication component and this gender gap, is that partners tend to forget the idea of foreplay, of this buildup. Women are like an iron. We have to heat up before we can get hot enough to iron the shirt and get the wrinkles out. And so that means taking some time to do some of those activities that turn her on, that turn you on, that get you both excited and ready, so that when the time comes, you're both relaxed, but you're excited and it feels good, right? And so there's that communication component. And so I wanted to provide you guys with some resources for ways to learn even more about this. And so here they are here. And so the first one is OMG Yes, omgyes.com. It is an excellent online resource that you can utilize that really shows women how different women orgasm. And so it's something that you can subscribe to. Just a word of caution is that they do use live women demonstrating different techniques, and so if that's something that makes you feel uncomfortable, or if you have kids around, making sure that you use that on a time in a place that's private for you. But that's an excellent way to learn some of these skills and to see how different women may experience orgasm, to kind of help you find what works best for you. There's also an excellent book called Becoming Clitorate by Dr. Lori Mintz. She has some excellent feedback, insight into just what it means to orgasm and how to know your body and what it takes to make that happen. The same is true of the elusive orgasm. And then the Guide to Getting It On is also a really excellent book that's just full. It's a wealth of knowledge on all things sex. That can be an excellent resource for you as well. So some questions I wanted to address that I received was about different types of orgasm. And so somebody had asked me, what is a blended orgasm? What even is that? Because I had mentioned that earlier in this webinar. And so a blended orgasm would essentially be clitoral and vaginal, or G-spot, A-spot, etc. stimulation at the same time. And so that's just a blend. And so some women can have just a clitoral orgasm, just clitoral stimulation. Some women need both the G-spot stimulation and the clitoral stimulation in order to achieve an orgasm. And some women, again, can orgasm by penetration alone. It all depends on each woman, what she likes. And so again, exploring, experimenting, and finding out what's best. And of course, people are always wondering about the elusive G-spot and what that is. And so scientists are still scratching their heads on, is this real, is this not? But many women report being able to be aware of their G-spot. And so finding that, just for those of you who are wondering what that would look like, is essentially you have your two fingers that would be inserted into the vagina. Your fingers would be, the pads would be facing the very top of the vagina. And so like if the mons pubis was here, then internally your fingers would be here, and just the come here motion is typically what we would see in terms of stimulating and finding the G-spot. Now someone had asked, is a G-spot orgasm and squirting the same thing? And so first of all, even what is squirting? For those who are not aware, some women can release, it's sort of like a female ejaculate, if you will, but it's a pea-like substance, essentially, that exits from the urethra, but it's more of like a clear fluid that exits the urethra. And it's just fluid, right? And so some women can squirt when they orgasm, and some women don't. And so the question was, do you always squirt when you orgasm, or can you squirt but not orgasm? The answer is yes, that some women, but squirting is not the same as an orgasm. So some women can squirt without an orgasm, and just through stimulation alone. Again, it's this great buildup of tension, and it's still a release, but it's different. It's not an orgasm. It's just releasing of some of these fluids. However, some women do squirt when they orgasm, and again, others don't need to. However, squirting and orgasms are two different things. Another question that I received was wondering, somebody said that they had seen some research that says that dominance in the bedroom can essentially lead to a more pleasurable or orgasmic experience. Is that, being a little rough, if you will, so pulling of the hair or spanking or anything like that, leading to a more pleasurable or orgasmic experience, and wondering if that's true, and if so, what that looks like, etc., etc. As I mentioned earlier, every woman is different. Every woman has a unique sexual drive, they have their own unique sexual desires, things that they enjoy. And so yes, for some women, that could be something that is a turn on for them, something that they enjoy, something that could help them achieve orgasm a little bit better because it would play into a sexual fantasy that they have. However, some women do not desire that at all. That's not something that they want, and so that would actually have the opposite effect for them. And so I would say, if that's something that you're curious about, if you think that that's something that you would enjoy, again, talk to your partner, communicate with them, find out if that's something that they would be comfortable with exploring, and then find out together what it looks like, and find out the limits for that for yourself. What do you like about that? What don't you like about that? Because there are many different levels of dominance and submission in the sexual realm as well. And so exploring that together, if you feel like that's something that could be more enjoyable for you. But if it's something that that you're really not interested in, or that would be a turn off for you, or that would make you feel uncomfortable, then just leaving that off the table. But also being willing to bring it up with your partner and establish together, and maybe this unspoken rule, but maybe in the back of their mind they were wanting to try it, but they weren't able to vocalize that, but that you don't, and being able to have a conversation piece about that too. So again, communicating is going to be so huge in terms of discussing, what do I like, what don't I like, what turns me on, what doesn't turn me on, things like that. It's going to go such a long way, having these conversations rather than just allowing expectations to be assumed. Actually stating them so that expectations aren't missed, that feelings aren't hurt, is going to go a long way in the sexual realm, in the bedroom, but also outside of the bedroom, which is a whole other webinar. So thank you guys so much for joining, and I hope I was able to answer some questions about this mysterious female orgasm. If you still have questions, feel free to reach out. Our info will be below. There will be a link to our website that you can access, and feel free to reach out and ask any questions that you might have. We're more than happy to help in that area. So thanks.